Good morning, everybody. All right. Good morning. So we're already seeing the markets bounce around a little bit on the econ data. Candidly, I don't really care. I'm more interested in non-farm payrolls tomorrow and going from there. I think you're going to bounce around a little bit here, guys. I think that if you think that you're not going to bounce around when you're at a critical level and not really understanding the game, I have this chart up for a reason. I just think it's really important to note that when we're sitting right here, you look at where you're at, this 188 level, it's really important to understand that you're not here very often. And if we just take a look at what has transpired around this time before, this is just put-call ratio, equities. But if you look at what's happened around this time, you can see how you've acted and go from there. Okay, this is not something, this might be an anomaly, actually, the way they have that set up, but this is pretty big. And what's important about this is you can see how it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. It's just equities, not indexes. And you just see how they were buying protection. Now they just went max protection, and they're usually not right. Let's just leave it at that. It's usually a good contrarian indicator, just like down here when you start hitting these lows. You're probably not, you're probably not right. So it's something to think about. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I don't really have a clue this morning. I think you have to look at things for what they are and realize that things can get a lot really murky in here. I don't know what's really left to sell down. I mean, it could always get worse, but I don't see how there's not some kind of bounce here, but we'll see. You have some work to do here, guys. You have a lot of work to do still. You come to that level right here. Your head and shoulders is actually up a little higher to here, right? So actually it's right here. I would use that as my head and shoulders. But if we just talk about the level right here that you're fighting right now, down, up, breaks, undercuts, and then you rallied. So you have an undercut and rally. Now, if you look from that perspective and you drop it down here, you tried to break, you got one break over that level, and now you're hitting right against it. That 4,300 is everything. So I think you have to take that into account. I think you have to watch that. I think you need to be really careful. I don't think there's a tremendous amount to do or say here, except watch the world go by and see how this plays itself out. Does it break? Does it not break? As far as, econ data, again, I'm not really concerned about what comes out at 8:30. I see the market as well and how you moved off of it, but it's not as immaterial as what's going to happen tomorrow. And I would just mark these levels. I mean, it's even a kind of muted move, right? It's not even really I wouldn't even call it that big of a move yet. Now, can that move spread? Sure. But are you really going to spread over what just came out? I don't really say it. I mean, claims are down. So people are going to be like, oh, claims are down. Jobless claims supposed to come in at 210. And we came in where we did. There's always going to be something. What are they going to talk about? What are the real issues going to be? The trade balance was better than expected. Or we lowered initial jobless claims. We said they were going to be one thing, now they're another, because that's some of the other data that came out. I mean, I can walk you through it. I might as well. I'm right here staring at it. Let me just click it over and I'll show you real quickly. But there's nothing really here that's like, end of the earth. And if they want to sell it down, they'll find a reason. But I actually think that they're just trying to bounce you around ahead of what to expect tomorrow. And, obviously tomorrow is going to be non-farm payrolls, but you're just bouncing around, and we'll just drop this in right here so you can see it. But you have challenger job cuts. Okay. That's not a big deal. You have job cuts September here. They cut substantially less jobs than they did previously. Okay. That's something that people might get a little upset about if they really want to find something to be upset about, right? Oh, they're not laying enough people off, so the economy's better. Therefore, market should drop. All right. I mean, I guess we can go that way with it. Continuing claims are pretty much in line. Initial jobless claims. All right. So you came in at 207. You're supposed to be at 210. And now you're at 205. I mean, I just don't see that. I don't see anything there that's going to tell me that we should have gone from, flat to 30 basis points. Now, technically speaking, you had a big rally yesterday that confused a lot of people. And I think they're going to try to get you to sell off and confuse people even more. I would just point out again that you are grossly oversold, and do with that what you will. But it's pretty bad how oversold you are. This would be the main level that I'd be focused on, that 43.30 level, and see if you can get above it. In the meantime, you have all these other levels in here that you have to pay attention to. Primarily, you're looking at that 4,300, and you really want to get above there. It's actually like 43.05 or something, but it's right in there. And you want to make sure you close above that 42.80 on a minor level. And we can drill into this a little here. But you got all these little guys out there, like all these little levels, and you can see it right here, right? That 43.05 level. Support all day long. Support hits it, resistance. I mean, is that going to be resistance? We'll find out later today. Does that become resistance? We're not going to figure it out right now off this bar. And I can't even break 42.80 on that bar. So that's something else. You just kind of come in here and you might want to just mark some of these spots off. You can actually just let's just mark the low. That way it's so clean. So you just might want to watch how that plays out. But, do you just bounce in here? Do you crack? Maybe you crack, but I'd watch it. I don't know that it's going to be, that awful, candidly. I certainly wouldn't be moving positions over what just happened. Let's watch it. Let's see how it goes from there. If I just throw in the private clouds and look at them, you're fighting the same levels over and over and over again. And I think that's an important distinction. You're in the same area and you're fighting over and over again. And I look here and now I've got this short-term indicator, but I also have everything converging in one spot. So when I start flatlining and converging, that usually is setting me up for some kind of move. It's usually some kind of counter move, to be quite honest with you. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So when this had everything converge right here, see how they all converged and then broke? That's very different than even like these kinds of moves where this flips first, everything's converging in one spot. When you see everything converging in one spot, even like it did here and then failed, you still want to pay attention to that. I don't want to rule that out. Whether or not I get over it or don't, for whatever reason, when all three of these converge and then it picks a direction, it's usually pretty nasty. I just don't see what's really going to be the next shoe that's going to drop today that's going to make this really bad. You can always get some news, but I just don't see it. I think you have a lot of people that are confused and want the trend to continue. If you look at the Nasdaq, this gets even way more clearer to me. You're starting to see that turn, or you're trying to see that turn on the Nasdaq where you broke back here September 15th and it was just straight down. If I look at the cloud formation, flips right here, comes back over, tries to break again, complete rejection. And what I like about this rejection are a couple things. First, I undercut. If you really look at it, I'll do it this way, close to close, because it'll make it cleaner. But first, you undercut. Do you undercut there? Okay. Then after you undercut, you bounced. Now, I'd like it if we got back over, but I like it because that's to form a double bottom. You need to get back over. But we undercut. And then we're staying above all these levels. Even the smallers, when they're trying to break, you're not really breaking. And I'm flipping again into a green cloud, and I'm holding that level this morning. I always find that fascinating how this works, but you're holding there. So, I mean, literally the low of that green cloud is exactly where you're sitting. Now, of course, you can break it because breaking it's the only way that you go the other way, but you use it as a guide, and it's one piece of information. It's one that I would certainly pay attention to. And you go from there. Now, let's get rid of the cloud for a second. And let's just talk about some of these other things that are going on that are definitely worth our time. I certainly think they're worth our time. So we're going to cover them. So you take a look at the dollar, and it's just been on a tear. It's probably been the easiest trade since July. I'm not going to bore everybody with what happened with Japan again and why it's doing what it's doing, but you can all see that. I mean, it's from that level right here. It's just been an absolute tear. And I don't see any reason, that people are, one, not going to try to lock some of that in. I mean, that is probably one of the single greatest moves you've had in the dollar in a long time, where you're up like 7% for nothing. And, definitely something to pay attention to. Definitely something to pay attention to. Now you're having some levels in here. I think you're heading back to 110 eventually if this continues, but I don't know. I think you're going to get some kind of reprieve here. What that's going to look like, I'm not sure yet, because now you're seeing the 10-year. I think we all agree the 10-year might take a break, but most likely we're heading to 5.25. Most likely that's where we're going. But you could take a break here. You're pretty oversold, and I think you're due for some kind of break. The VIX hit 20 yesterday, so for now, short-term wise, I'm happy. I got at least a level of fear that makes me happy that people are going to act on that level. So we'll see how that plays out. The names everybody always asks me to cover. Remember, you have NFP tomorrow. You have non-farm payrolls. It's pretty much the most important thing that you have going on. And that's tomorrow. You have a bunch of Fed speakers today. They'll all come out for, I think they wheel them out around 11:30, 12 today, and they'll tell you what they think, and they'll all have different opinions, and they'll mean nothing, but they'll move the market. The auction. I'd watch the auction today at 11:30. I'm just trying to see if there's something else here that I would really pay attention to. I really think that's it. And then you just want to probably get into some of the other data, for tomorrow, 8:30. But non-farm payrolls is really going to be the big deal. And that's really where my head would be. And that's really what I would focus on tomorrow. I would really focus on those non-farm payrolls and go from there. All right. So that's where I would be. So that's where the VIX is. Let's get into some of these names. Let's clean some of this off. So if I am to look at how Apple is playing here and really focus on this, it becomes very clear to me anyway, how that's playing out and what to expect there. So let's see how this plays, and we'll go from there. I think it's pretty interesting how you're holding that 170 level. You're just not breaking that for whatever reason. You broke it once, and it made it look like it was going to go down, and then that was it. You just stopped dead. You really did. I mean, you've only closed under here, twice, and you bounced pretty nicely in this area. So I think that's kind of an important demarcation line. You can see the battle in here. To me, that held. Now you have some other areas in here that you have to watch that you had issues with before. And is that going to become resistance and roll? I don't have a clue. I don't really have a clue. Nobody does. You have the 12 you're running into, the 22 screaming down, the 55 screaming down. For the day, you need to get above 175. If that's, if you're trying to see, is this thing getting better or worse? I think you have to get through 175. This NE, I'm just going to tell you, these are like the bigger names that I'm watching today. This NEE, that's an insanely ugly chart. I'm just going to tell you, the idea that you gapped up yesterday and flushed people out, like you gapped up to get supply, right? Or demand, I should say. You gapped me up over the hammer to get demand. You got demand and you did nothing but dump right into it. I think that's definitely an issue here. Now, we've been short this for a while. We've been short the NEP for a while. And they've probably been some of the best trades of the year, quite frankly. I mean, they've been crazy trades, how easy they are. You don't really even have to worry about them. But that, to me, is setting up for another level down. I don't know what that's going to do, the XLU. I don't know that they can kick it out of the XLU, but there's definitely issues here. And this is going to get worse. And, we talked about this last Saturday. As you know, these videos are connected. It seems to be spreading a little bit here, but at least this held. NE is not, you're not holding at all here. So that's definitely something that we want to watch and make sure that you hold, but you're not holding. So keep that in mind. You're just not. I'd watch the video today. I'd want to make sure that we can get through this level. I mean, the big level for me is right up here, this 451 level, and just make sure that you can get through that. I think you have a shot at touching that today. I think you have a shot at retesting that today. I don't see the market really getting hit. I think it's going to kind of go sideways. So we don't have to get into. Tesla to me looks great. I really like how you're down and then you're trying to flip. What you do, you flip right here, right? You get that little abandoned baby pattern, and then you try to break out again, lower low, but you're here. So what's really nice about this particular pattern, if I close all this off with Tesla, is you just kind of look at what's going on here. I mean, I don't really have to go that far with it, but I'm sure you guys already saw this. But I mean, if you really get in here, even if I get rid of that wick, I mean, you're getting into this kind of kill zone area where something's going to happen. I mean, something's going to happen within the next month where this is going to go vicious one way or another. It's very rare that you just go flat if you get into one of these spots because you have supply and demand meeting. And it's not common for that to happen. But I have some time here, so I can go through anything you guys would like to talk about. Let's see what we have here. 350 in the room. If you could all stop, hit the like button, I sure would appreciate it. Good morning. Down. Spy got DTL. Q's going sideways, very short term. Yeah, I think you're going short term. I don't think you're going anywhere. Frankly, I think you're so grossly oversold that you're just going to have to work that off, and then maybe the next leg's still down. Maybe. I'm not sure yet on that. I'm really not. You're seeing some signs like, I have to tell you, I think this market is extremely resilient for the 10-year doing what it's doing. Like the 10-year selling off like that, and we're just moving the way that we are. I mean, I think it's pretty resilient personally. So NUL, is that one? Is that what you asked about? Hold on one second here. NUVL. I don't know. What do you have, a buyout? There's got to be. That's news driven, dude. It's got to be news driven. It doesn't even look like earnings. I would need to know what the news is to even get involved in that one, John. Yeah, I was watching this. I mean, I know people that love this name. They usually try to buy it around that 460 level right here. People love this name right around here. You say it, how it just constantly is like holding in that area, and then they just hold on to it. It's not my kind of name here, candidly. I don't like buying these kinds of names up here. They usually don't do. You kind of look at that. I mean, you look at the past 3 or 4 years. Like, do you really want to be in there? I don't know. You could make the argument, sure. I'm not sure that I want to be in there playing that game. I mean, this was more interesting. This was more appealing. Lower lows, lower or higher low. Lower high, lower high, lower high, and then you go sideways in here. Like, I like those, and then you figure out what you're going to be when you grow up and you break out of that. Like, that kind of stuff I like. Up here with these kinds of value names, I don't know. Because even if you come here, right, and you draw that straight across, I mean, what do you have? Up, over, rejection. How many times have I been here? And it's not like this is going to be this huge growth company. It's not like it's growing at like 30% a clip where you want to pay up for it. But do I really want to pay for that? Probably not. Probably not. So go from there. I mean, that's really all I can tell you. I don't think that's something that I'd want to play with or be involved with. I just don't think that that's, I'm just not feeling it. Not up here. What's up, Gilbert? Yeah, I mean, I think they're buying today. I would almost guarantee that they're buying today. Let's take a look at them real quickly and see if I can find out. See if I can tell you what they're doing while we're talking. The members area and take a look here and see what's going on. Yeah, they're net buyers. They're net buyers, and retail's dumping. Well, let me see if I pull it up, John. I'll pull it up for you, and I will. Let's go back and just take a look at the past 3 months. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty clean. Hold on. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. Let me just download PNG. Oh, please, sweet Jesus, just download. All right, here we go. There, John. So, really what you want to focus on here, let me clean off that. So what you want to focus on here is that these lows usually mark peaks right on the market, and then when you get to the high, that usually marks the low. And what happens is this is where retail really just does god awful. When they're down here in the trough, like retail's just puking stock right now, right? And that tells you everything you need to know. Retail's puking, institutions are buying right now. Every peak or every bottom that's in, retail's usually there at max and then scaling out on the way up. And lately, we've been really effective at retail, meaning we've been really effective at staying in and buying. But we're going to get washed out here. And you can see that. You can see that coming. I think you can see that coming. And it's definitely something I'd be paying attention to. Let me clean that off. I can dig in and play with that tonight in tonight's video. But it's definitely something I'd pay attention to, John. They're net buyers. I sold my calls for $25 on calls. Buy way too early. It happens, brother. Especially in this market court. Like it happens. What are you going to do? You move on. Next trade. You might think times I sold things early. I just had an SMCI trade. I sold $30 too early because I didn't like the market. And I'd rather do that. I'd rather protect myself right now. So AHR. Yeah, I think you need to be really careful there. It can affect NVIDIA. I don't know. I don't know how we act here. I have my, my level that I want to see and see how they act. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. They're like the only one to watch tonight. Last quarter was a knockout. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do, man. You have some issues there, like because semiconductor capital equipment manufacturers, they're cutting themselves. So it's an issue. I'd watch that. What's up, Steve? There is a community. There is a link in description. It is on waitlist. I would get on the waitlist. We're probably going to open it one more time this year, and then I'll close it again. We keep it small and very. It's based on education and information. It's very different than most rooms. If you're just looking for like alerts, we're definitely not the room for you. So, we really focus on education, explaining why things are going on. Up or down, sideways today. You want me to pick? I think you go sideways to up. You want me to flip a coin? I'll flip a coin. Sideways to up. That's what I think. We'll see if I'm right. What's going on, Mary? Bond auction 11:30. What do I think? I think you're going to see net buyers in the bond market today. I think people are, look, whenever we think we're going to see something like 5 1/4, what are the chances that we actually see what we think we're going to see, right? That's how I look at it. I think the bond auction is going to be, we'll know at 11:30. NVIDIA, does this start every 8:15? It's supposed to. It's supposed to start there. Bro, it's crazy. I remember, I sound like my father. I remember when we used to have to beg Greenspan to speak. Like, could you say something? And he'd be like, and they'd wheel him out. Now everyone wants to be on stage. They all have TikTok accounts. You're welcome, Rob. Are we still planning for nail to drop? Yeah, I think you have issues there. I don't know. Look, there's a bunch of names I want to short. I don't know that today's the day. I'm just being blunt. I think you need to rally a little bit and then look at those. I didn't miss Tesla yesterday. I don't know where you're going with that. MLM is about to go off support. Let's do MLM while we're here. I can't look at those, dude. Like, I mean, that needs to do so much work for me to even get remotely interested in that, man. There's so much work for that to do there. How about they just are not allowed to speak? I'd rather them start trading again. That's when the equity markets dropped since we took away their thing. So I don't know if we're going to bottom. You never know. What's going on, Sue? I have some signals that were there. I think the semis have some issues. I agree with that, but I don't know that we don't bounce. I don't know that means that like here, I'll give you a great example. Okay, like I can't buy that. I would love nothing more than to buy that. There's an article in the Financial Times today about NVIDIA quadrupling or tripling, trying to find a way to triple its sales out to 24, which is insane, absolutely insane number. And no one's even picking up the article yet. They're all trying to like debunk it, but whatever. It's so funny. But if you look at that, you can't really look at that and go, I really need to be involved there, right? I mean, it's very difficult to go out there and say, I need to buy a stock that is, you know, in a death cross, in a death spiral, as I refer to them. So I agree with that. I mean, I think there's some stuff there, man. And maybe we're going to trade sideways for a while on these names before we go to the next leg. That's a possibility. I don't think so. I'll leave it at that. I really don't think so. I'm betting that it's not, John. Who's a winner? I am. I got coffee. Great commentary, Courtney Flesh came out there. That's awesome. Happy for you, Mary. Just keep doing it every day. It's every day. It's the grind, Mary. It's the grind. Claim downs means better jobs. Yeah, but people don't like when claims are down lately. The 10-year, the VIX, it is what it is. What's up, Blue? JEPI. I mean, I can't go near that. It's not something I would buy. But I also don't know the income. I don't know what's in there. But if I was just going to give you a technical opinion, it's not my kind of thing. Rivian, I wouldn't go near until you get the secondary cleared. I'd be on the other side of your trade chain. I'll be shorting that today, probably on rallies, unless this thing gets priced. Once that bond market gets priced, all bets are off. Don't call it a comeback. LAC. I don't understand the LAC move. They got a huge contract, right? But people don't like that they got a huge contract because they're paying too much for the huge contract. Like, I don't get the whole thing. It's got to be something predicated upon the amount of money they had to borrow to get the deal done, which probably catapults them even higher, 3 to 5 years, because of the economy of scale. That's going to take me like an hour or two to read to really understand what happened here. And I don't have that kind of time. And obviously people already understand it and they're getting involved in it. And you can already see where that's going. Like, I'll throw that on, I'll watch that today, but nothing more than a technical trade for me until I read that. Yeah, please like. It helps greatly with the algorithm, unless you'd rather see ads in the middle of this. I got clapped at work. I'd watch 14.8. If you want to watch the NQ today, I'd watch 14.8, and you got to get over 15. I don't know if we're getting over 15 today with the data tomorrow. I would say I'd pay real close attention to the fact you just held 480 there. You just held it. So I pay real close attention to that. AMD and the chip makers look like they're going to go. The manufacturers of products look like they have an issue. I'll leave it at that. So you got a lot of regional banks, 15.9% regional banks in there. I think there's an issue there. Yeah, Goldman's saying there's an issue there now. Let's see. NQ selling off with ES. Just the bank news. Yeah, please give me more than 38 likes. For God's sake. K-Area went touch. The report was okay. Yes. No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think you're getting there, Stephen. I do. I think we're getting to that level where it might be time to start saying, I keep saying this, but we seem to be getting there where you might be getting to that level. There might be something there. Yeah, we're getting there, but it's very specific content. So it's just going to take time, but it is what it is. I'm not in a hurry. The more people that share it, the greater it grows. We get the right people. I don't want the wrong people. I would not. It's not my kind of trade, Ricardo. What's up, Kev? No, I wouldn't go near that. unless you're shorting. Are you shorting? I mean, how do you buy a company that has a problem every 3 days with its plane? I mean, literally, people call the airport to make sure they're not on one of their planes. Like, I think they're looking flat to up, personally. Intel, I like Rivian after they do their deal, Mike. I wouldn't go near this, but it seems to be holding. So DVN. Oh, I mean, you can't go near that. I don't know what's going on there. That looks disgusting. No, I wouldn't touch that. I got to jump, guys. See you tomorrow at 8:30. I'll be on time tomorrow.